Okay. Daniel Esplin, joined by recording artist Scott Kline. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Thank you.
Now, I like to start things off with my musical critique because the whole thing for me is enjoying music and enjoying the craft of it and just finding different things in music that I can enjoy and cherish, you know? And with your music, usually, like, I try not to have, like, a set opinion on an album on my first listen. But with your album, after I got through the 7 songs, I had it down in my mind exactly what it was. And for me, I even wrote it down. How did I write this down? It's the soundtrack to the scenic drive going anywhere. And what I mean by that is some of my favorite albums are albums that you could like put in the car, put in the truck, and just listen to over and over again while you're going for a drive or whatever. And you get all of these different aspects with albums that are like that. You get the chill factor, and with your album, it's got these great grooves, these insane melodies, these really good hooks that come out from either the drums or the guitar, the bass, and of course with your vocals, which your choruses are so catchy and simple, you can figure them out like first run through the song. And then the more you listen to your songs, the more you can take deeper meanings from the lyrics. And that's what I've really enjoyed. I've listened since yesterday to the album probably 5 times, and I've just been it's been a pleasure to hear it. And with all of that being said, I have to imagine you're pretty pleased with how it came together and sounds at the end of it. I'd have to assume just it's a really neat piece of work.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it for sure. And so many people have said that it's like a backtrack to like a on the road, you know, like hitchhiker type, you know, like desert sounding. I'm just like, I didn't like particularly like write it, you know, to like make it like that.
Sure.
I think it's just something that came out almost in each song, you know, like that type of vibe, you know. And yeah, I mean, I listened to it again today because I was like, man, I wonder what that you know, what that sounds like again, just so that I could get, you know, caught up on my own music.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a good record. You know, it's as a group of songs, you know, all the songs weren't all recorded at one time, like in one session. You know, they were like 4 were recorded. I cut one song, and one was recorded in like Piapot, Saskatchewan, where the recording studio used to be, you know. Yeah. And it was in this like old schoolhouse, this empty like 1900s schoolhouse. It was like basically kind of like abandoned and run down.
I've actually heard of it before. One of my coworkers is from Piapot, and he was telling me about that place actually.
Yeah. So I recorded I was the last person to record before they got like a bit evicted, kind of like they got told to leave or whatever happened with the municipality and stuff. They got told to leave or whatever, but yeah, like they had that like vibe, you know. And I think on a few of the songs it kind of comes out, you know, that like spooky, you know, desolate kind of open road feeling. So I mean, that was like the first, you know, my first recording was like there, you know, and it came out, and then from that point, like branched off to this, you know, into making it kind of like that, you know, it was kind of that zone.
Well, we should talk about your collaborators on the album, because it's interesting that you say that it was recorded at a few different times, because I think I don't know if you worked on it a lot ahead of time with the 3 gentlemen, or if it was just like a studio recording, but it just felt like everything fit where it was supposed to fit, especially with the overall mix. Like the drums were nailed on it, getting that right sound for that kind of aesthetic, and then just all the instrumentation. It just felt like it just blended together so nicely. And how did you get teamed up with the 3 gentlemen?
Well, I mean, I guess it start. It was like I had moved back to Saskatchewan, and I had asked, asked them beverage to uh, produce produce some music. Like I didn't really know, how it would go or whatever. But I was like, yeah, I'm gonna record this four song. Um, how I got working with the gentleman was like very fortunate. Like his brother was there. When I went to record, and then it drove my truck, my old like Dodge pickup, like into Piapot with my sister, and like all my gear in the back, and like pulled up, and then it was like him and his brother and me in the schoolhouse, and they played with Legal Wolves,
Yeah.
the band Wolves, so they're well versed on rock and roll, and yeah, we jammed a bit, and um, one of the songs was a little bit slower, and a bit I ended up cutting it, but yeah, and then I was like, then I like drove to like Vancouver or something, and I was like sitting in his keg eating ribs, and he sent me a picture,
Yeah.
of the track, and it blew my mind. Like it was like that point where you're like, oh no, okay, this is gonna be something more, you know, than just like going and making a couple of recordings, you know. Um, Leah Hansen had ended up playing on the track, um, who was like an amazing guitarist, really underrated guitarist.
So was that a surprise to you when his guitar tracks were on there then? Like, were you there for when he recorded, or did it just show up and all of a sudden there was all of these lead guitar lines on it?
No, like, um, I did my time there at the studio, and Aspen and Juice and I like spent some time on it, and just kind of got everything finalized to what like the vocals, what I wanted, with the vibe of the song. And I left. I went to Vancouver, and I thought I was in Banff. Anyway, I was in the keg, and yeah, Aspen had like, I guess we had like heard the track, at the studio because they were like jamming there. It was just like one of those stories you hear about like old rock and roll. You're like, as if those guys were partying together and then they just got together and then they just like made that record.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. They were like, he heard the record. He played on all the songs, like most of the songs, and then sent them back to me. And I was like, holy shit, like. And I was like, oh no, so then I started like, thinking of like a bigger picture, of like, what do I do with these songs now?
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? And I guess I was like, well, I was going to originally just release the EP, So I released my first single, and then it did really well. And got on some like good publications and got some traction. And then I just decided to record more music. So to get an album together, So then the rest of it was recorded in Saskatoon with Leah Hansen and Aspen Beveridge in their recording studio in Saskatoon because it had moved from Piapot. So yeah, and then it was kind of like a thing,
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, like the drummer and like Aston was also playing some guitar on there and some bass. He played like one track with drums as well, but everything just kind of like fell together. Those three play in like a band, that's like doing very well and has done very well. so they already like know how to play together, and yeah, it just really fit my songwriting and my vocals. That's what kind of gave it that like haunting vibe.
Well, and it really feels like you couldn't really pinpoint a generation exactly where it's from, but they had all of the sounds right. Like one of my favorite guitar parts there's actually a few times where there's like this sputtery fuzz guitar, and it's like, yes, that is just the perfect thing on how it should have sounded. There's a lot of great effects. There's even I don't remember which song it is, but there's like stereo panning, which reminded me of like how they would goof around with stereo panning in the olden days. And it was it was really neat to think about how it would have all came together in that way. And it's awesome that you are also now with the record possibly going to be able to win the Saskatchewan Rock/Pop Artist of the Year, but there is some pretty fierce competition with that.
Of course. Yes, of course. Like the Garys, the Weapons, Megan Nash,
right?
They're all great, musicians, and I'm sure they've won in the past, right? Like,
I would assume so. Yeah, I believe Megan has won a few things over the years for sure.
Yeah. So I'm very honored to be nominated and recognized, like provincially, for being an independent musician. Like, yeah, you kind of got to do it all, like wear all the hats, as an independent musician. Whereas, like, if you have a record deal or some type of deal, you have at least a little bit more publicity that way,
Right. A little more help.
And just, and like distributing and stuff is like, so it's nice. It was, I was very honored, and I messaged everybody that was in nomination, like, hey, cool that we're, hope you win, and hope, congratulations, and and then I checked out all their music to see, like, obviously what the competition was like.
For sure.
And all very good. Like, I mean, Weapons music has like really kind of shot off on the radio and has had like a lot of plays, and they're doing very well, writing with some good people and recording with some good people right now. And like the Garys and Meg, and they're like nominated in like a couple different categories, and like album of the year and alternative artist of the year. So I was like asking SaskMusic. I was like, hey, so what genre am I? And I'm like, am I like folk artist, or am I like a alternative artist or rock artist, or? And they just like, they're like definitely alternative and rock,
Sure.
artists. But because my, like you said, but it's not really like genre specific. I'm like, oh, that's rock and roll. It definitely has different elements. But the more I listen to it, I'm like, yeah, it's a rock and roll album. But there's so many vintage sounds in there. Like, Aspen and I, like, we wanted to make it, or I wanted to make it sound vintage. It was like my number one thing. Like, I wanted it, and if it was up to me, it would have been like very stripped down, very like very vintage sounding, as if it was like Johnny Cash in like an open room kind of thing.
Right.
But wasn't really realistic, but it didn't fit. Like, he's like, okay, this is what it sounds like how you want it, like, we need to put more in there, as far as like drums and bass and stuff goes. But I always wanted psychedelic, or a little bit psychedelic as well. With,
right.
Like the panning, make it like British pop,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that was like purposely done, you know. But you know, we were all confused about like what it is, you know, or was, you know. We're
Yeah.
like, okay, so is it country? Is it rock and roll? Is it folk? You know, it's like kind of all, which was cool. You know, I got reviews in like a British pop, you know, a blog in the UK, and then I would get like a folk write up in like Nashville or something, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's folk then. I guess it's rock and roll. I guess it's, you know, British pop, you know.
Right.
So I just kind of made the music, you know. I didn't really like try to, and I don't know. That's what I like about it, is that it's not pigeonholed into like.
Well, and it's neat to think that you had a different idea in your mind and that even you were able to be surprised by the finished product when it was all said and done and hopefully gain a new appreciation for it.
Yeah, yeah. It was like the raw form. Like I was listening to one of your interviews before, and one of the guys said it was like the raw form, like, you know, me and a guitar, you know, writing these songs in my basement or something, you know, or in my room. You just like, you kind of think that that's what it should sound like, you know, but then you get world-class musicians like playing on your record, and like, well, you probably use the drummer and the bass player and the guitarist, you know, that's like, you know, a world-renowned their artist, you know. So, yeah, I definitely got like organically, like, I, I mean, I'm kind of speechless because, yeah, I got lucky, really. I got really lucky.
So, as an artist now, are you continuing to write songs and has it influenced how you're writing them? Like, are you thinking about that sort of sound with new stuff that you're working on?
Yeah, yeah, like, there's been a couple songs that I've written just for acid, like to like be like, see, I can write like this, you know. So I have written a couple, it, yeah, to show that I can write in that way. But like I have like basically a couple genres that I write in like a rock and roll genre, and I write in like a folk, like Towns Van Zandt genre, you know.
Yeah.
And it kind of comes out in the middle somewhere, and you know, you lean one side or the other, um, which is good, I guess. But yeah, yeah, like I have just like so many songs that I could pick from as far as like um, writing goes. I just yeah, um, I think for this record I just listened to like what I thought I needed to record. You know, like I was just like, this one's kind of coming up at this time. Like maybe I should give it a go. You know, give it the, you know, courtesy and record it. See what you know the producer is thinking. You know if it fit. You know, with the other songs, or yeah. So now I just, you know, I have more songs to record. I'm going back in the studio this year. Um, yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what it comes like. I guess there's definitely gonna be some elements out of like my last album, that like songs that didn't make it on that album, and
Yeah.
you know, like some carryover, like the vibe. I'm sure it's gonna carry over.
Yeah.
You know, with like most artists, like there'll be some carryover, and then the next one will be kind of different, and then the next one after that will kind of have some carryover, and then 4 albums from now it'll be different from this one, but like there'll definitely be some interchanging writing. Like I had written this one song that I cut from this album, and it was like just kind of like rootsy country song, and I wanted it to be like, and like listening back on the recording, it wasn't that bad. It probably could have made it on the album, but at the time I was like, no, it's not, on the album. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But like, I sped it up. I made this we made it faster. And Aspen has suggested, he's like, oh man, they speed it up a bit. And that's what I was fighting with him about. Not fighting with him, but I was like, man, I want it to be slower. And he's like, hey, well, this is what it's gonna sound like. It's like, 70 beats per minute.
Right.
So slow. It's just dragging. It's dragging compared to the other songs. So that song I did speed up, and I have played it live. Like I played at the Capitol in Saskatchewan, and it sounded awesome. So I think like that'll be. It's called Cocaine Cowboy.
Right.
And yeah.
You don't want that one to be slow.
It's not slow. It's kind of like a boot stomping song,
Sure.
You have to like wear your cowboy boots and stomp on like the hardwood floor. But yeah, so that one will definitely carry over into the next album. And I have some other slower ones that didn't make it on this album because it was a little bit rockin'. So
sure.
Hopefully those ones, I can make those work inside a rock and roll album.
Well, it feels, or at least it sounds like it was a good decision because, as I mentioned, the groove of the album just is so nice all the way through. I think that's the one thing that really makes it so much more enjoyable is that you can literally go from song to song and not feel like you have to skip one. And before we wrap things up, I want to actually mention, because I did also say I like your choruses. They're so catchy. Even my kids were singing along to your choruses after the 3rd or 4th go around, right? And the one thing that I really like about it is the more I listen to them, the more I pick up little lines here or there that are almost like universal, like anything could pick them out. And whatever people come of them are probably nothing close to what you had. But the one song that I'm going to be playing, besides the 2 that you picked, is Jesse. And the reason why, I was listening to the song, and I laughed pretty hard because with the first chorus, it's you're singing about making a girl cry. And then right after that chorus, you start listing all these crazy things. And I related to it so much because I was like, anytime I've made a girl cry, I just start saying crazy stuff too. And I don't even know if that's what it's about, but I keep coming across little lines here or there where I feel like I can relate to it. And I think if you just keep writing songs like that, where you just have these great lyrics like that, I think you're going to have a lot of success because I really enjoy your songwriting. It's been a real pleasure to listen to your album here so far, and I really look forward to hearing whatever else you come out with. The last thing we got to talk about, though, which you mentioned to me earlier, is you were a former foe of the Bruins with the Millionaires. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I played junior hockey, and I played junior hockey, but I was playing for the Millionaires, and we would go up and play the Bruins all the time.
Yeah.
And when I was playing in Saskatchewan, like, I mean, every year we'd play the Bruins. We'd either go up to Estevan for, Estevan or Weyburn for a tourney, and then
right.
Yeah. So like, outstanding rivalries there.
Yeah.
So I was hoping that like, maybe some guy at work would be like, oh yeah, Scott Kline, I used to play hockey with that guy, or
right.
that guy's singing now, so it's like a contrast, but yeah, like my uncles used to live and work over there, in the mines and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an honor to be on the radio there. I think I have some relatives in Weyburn too, so maybe they'll pick it up. So.
Yeah, that'd be nice. We'll send it around. Just get your whole family just to relentlessly pressure the PDs at every Golden West station, and they'll have to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really look forward to being able to play your music on the radio. I think it's going to really add to the station and everything. And I want to thank you so much for your time here today. And I just wish you all the best success in the future.
Yes, thanks for listening and thanks for having me on.